Welcome to Pivot Parenting, where we help parents of teens overcome regret and disappointment to find peace and connection in every situation. I'm Heather Frazier, your parenting expert. Journey with me to discover effective parenting tips, improve family relationships, and build a brighter future for your kids. Buckle up, things are about to get better. Welcome to Pivot Parenting. I'm so excited that you're here. Today, I have some fantastic parents on to coach and to learn from. And I hope that your summer is going well. I hope that you're enjoying listening to coaching the month of July. Guess what? My kids are little stinkers sometimes, and they like to try and upset me by counting how many summers they have home before they leave. And can I just say that my third child, she's going to be a senior this fall. And she likes to remind me that this could be her last summer home. And of course, it's because we like to tease each other, and it's actually not a problem. But it is sad because I have all my kids home this summer, and I'm absolutely loving having them home. And I'm not taking for granted that this could potentially be the last summer that everybody's home. My son, who's in college, will be taking an internship next summer, so he won't be home. And we just don't know what the future holds. And so I am cherishing all the little weekend aways that we are planning, and lake days and dinners together, because it is hard to see your kids leave the nest. And I by no means am a novice. I'm halfway through my kid launching. But there is definitely nuance to launching. And if you haven't heard, I am putting together a very small, intimate launch group, navigating the launch, because it is a big deal. There are 11 spots and they're already filling up. This isn't about making their senior year the very best, although it is. It's about making sure that they want to come home after they leave. It's about parents knowing how to balance support and also stepping back as they handle college applications and big life decisions, mentoring them rather than managing them, while we manage our anxieties and fears about their choices once they have left the nest, them potentially navigating new relationship dynamics and friendships and romantic relationships, supporting their independence, and knowing how to help them when they still need help, and just preparing for all of the practical and emotional transitions of moving out. This is going to be an exciting opportunity for 11 parents who have a senior this fall, the fall of 2025, graduating in 2026. And I'm going to have a senior right alongside you. So I will be in the trenches with you, graduation, all of the things. Now, I've done a few groups like this before, and they are always fantastic. We're going to meet twice a month. All of the details are in the link in the show notes. There are only 2 ways that you can join this group. You can join by clicking the link in the show notes, and that link has all of the details. And then I am emailing my pen pals about it. So if you aren't already on my email list, I urge you to become my pen pal. This is essentially a direct line to me. I write you every week with really helpful things. You're the first to know, and sometimes the only one to be offered certain opportunities like this. Go to heatherfrazier.com. You can scroll down to the bottom of the page, put in your name, put in your email. It's just you and I. You can hit respond to any of the weekly emails that I send you and say, hey, I don't know what to do in this situation. My kid came home high, which is what we're going to be talking about in today's episode. Anything that you need help with, you just hit reply, and I am right there. It's kind of awesome. All right, without further ado, Here is my interview with some fantastic parents. Welcome, Ty and Kit, to the show. We're glad that you're both here.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Ah, I love it when I get both parents. It's super fun. And I hear that we're going to be talking about your 14-year-old Elle today.
That's right.
Okay, how can I help you?
How do we want to start off? I guess we should start off with the happening, the situation, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
It was the day before yesterday. Elle wanted to go hang out with some friends. They were going to hang out, four girls, make brownies, and just chill, I guess. The time span was supposed to be a 6 o'clock pickup. And so I reached out shortly before then, and she sounded weird. She said, we're really tired. We need to sleep. I sent you a photo. It said we're taking a nap. And I was like, what are you on? What are you taking that's making you so tired? And she was like, nothing. And there was a giggle in the background. I was like, do you have me on speakerphone? Yeah. And I was like, oh, no, no, no. You do not have me on speakerphone when you are asking and talking to me personally, and you tell me if I'm on speakerphone. So she's like, can I stay longer, please? And I was like, no, because of what just happened. You are not staying longer. So I got off the phone. I had this whole dance in my head about just something didn't feel right. I had my mother's intuition, and I was, in the end, correct. It just so happened one of her friends ended up picking up her daughter who lives close by. And so she texted me that she was on the way with Elle, and that they had had pop brownies, and
oh,
that they were
okay.
completely and totally messed up to the point of falling down and passed out. So she pulls up in the driveway. I have to carry her in the, I mean, like hold her arms behind my shoulder or on my shoulders to like walk her
Sure.
into the house.
Okay. Is this the
Yeah,
first time that you've known about any substances?
it actually is not. So there was a time when she had some edibles that she got from a friend, and that was probably right before the end of school. So the edibles were like commercial edibles. So she just had more of that than she should have. She said she wanted to die, and that she was hoping she could overdose. And her boyfriend at the time, who was very toxic, he was there at the park where she was taking it. And some other kids ate some, but she ate the most and almost vomited, but didn't, and slept it off. I suspected something was going on. We found out the next day after. Was it the next day we found out, or did we find out later? Later, we found out later when she went to therapy. Later. She went to therapy and told her therapist, and then her therapist was like, "We need to bring your mom in. You need to tell her this." So that's when she told me. So this is the second time, but this is the first time that it was. So it ended up, it was one of the friend's dad's homegrown, and he had made the butter himself, but he didn't know that the girls took it and used it, and they didn't have any idea what they were doing, and they ate the entire pan of brownies between the four of them. Two of the girls vomited. it was it was bad. She was pretty wigged out. I mean, they were tripping hard. And her first concern was, oh, you all are mad at me. I just want to die. You're going to kill me. And so we were attempting to not make, well, yeah,
Assuage.
I don't know. We
Assuage
were attempting
concern.
to not like come with the full force of anger and you're in
Right.
trouble and all that. And what I would say to her is, we don't hate you. We're always going to love you. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you do. And she kept going on about, well, it's my life and it's my choice. And I said, what do we say? I said, yes, your life is yours. And every choice that you make has consequences, no matter if you're a teenager, which, in case we're still responsible for you legally, we're legally responsible for your actions and taking care and making sure that you're safe and that you're not abusing yourself or others. That's our care.
Sure. Okay. I want to hear from both of you where the biggest pain is for each of you in this story.
Can I start first?
Yeah.
The biggest pain is the depression. Underlying, it seems like it's depression. And I understand that she had her heart broken from, I don't even say like a boyfriend or love, but a crush. To me, it's a crush. That's my interpretation, but it's the depression, but also the larger depression that she's feeling, to the point where it's, and I understand she's a teenager, but struggling to manage some of the emotions and stress as a middle schooler, now going to high school. And the only way to deal with that in her mind is to, as she verbalized in her life, and seeking that through, well, like better word, drugs in this case. Yeah, and not just kind of like having the feeling safe to kind of like share that, or having those kind of conversations with parents.
Okay. And when you look at her depression and how she's trying to manage that, how do you feel? What are your beliefs and emotions around watching her?
My approach is trying to relate to her. I understand and I get where she's coming from because I also struggle with that, and I try to reflect upon, okay, when I was 14, what was I going through? It's a different circumstances here, being that she being female, myself being male. I did feel isolated, ostracized when I was her age, and I would just try to relate with her and tell her that, it's a hard time both at home, at the home front, and at school, but here I am, you know.
Yeah.
Um,
What, if you could only say one word, what emotion does this make you feel?
it's hard for me kind of vocalize emotion. So
Okay. Let's start a few steps back then.
sure.
Does it make you feel really closed off? Does it make you feel very open? Does it feel dark? Does it feel light? Does it feel heavy?
I would say it's kind of like
Mm.
a little bit of a dichotomy. I feel
Okay.
dark, but my approach to her is very open.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. So
So
tell me more about that first half.
the dark part,
Yes.
uh, it triggers me, it brings me back to my kind of like childhood, and the feeling of helplessness and uh, doom.
Okay. Hey, that's really great awareness. I can help you with speaking to and having boundaries and all the skills of parenting. And that's one thing that we can work on. The other half of parenting is the subconscious, sneaky, how I'm thinking and feeling and how that's affecting. And you guys are a perfect example of this. You have her in therapy. You're staying calm. You're saying, we don't hate you. We love you. And we're going to love you no matter what. And I know that Ty, I'm sure that you feel the exact same way as Kit when she was explaining that. We love you. We're not going to tear your head off for being high right now. Just because you were saying, I just try to relate to her because I get it. And so there's two halves to this. That's why when you said, do you understand the dichotomy? Yes, I do. Because we have the skill set that we can hone as far as communication, getting her the skills that she needs through therapy and things like that, and then managing your brain and emotions around how this triggers you, what this reminds you of, how you're projecting your fears, insecurities, anything like cleaning up your side of the street and then helping her manage her side of the street. Essentially, it's a two-part process. And so that's why I feel like I've got a fairly good hold of where you're both at as far as the skills that you're approaching her with. And we can go over some things there, but I want to get a good hold on how you're internalizing this and what your side of the street looks like, so to speak. So thank you for sharing that with me. There's there's two ways that we can have feelings, and one of them involves thoughts, and one of them is like an emotional or neurological trigger, right? Like if we just smell something and that smell takes us back to when our house burned down, we're just going to go into a nervous system response. But we can also have thoughts that then trigger an emotion. So when there's this darkness, are there any thoughts or beliefs around it, or does it just hit?
I want to say that it initially just hits, and then the thoughts that go through my mind are, what could I have done?
Okay.
And I go back to, I wasn't there for her. I wasn't for the with I wasn't there for the family when she was an infant, or when during her formative years. You know, could that have contributed? And so that I that's where I go reflecting wise, and then future state. Then it goes to, and it's not as dark future state, but it's kind of like, well, what can I do to protect her? The parent in me goes into protection mode, but then that's why I struggle, because we could pull her from the high school, homeschool her. There is a private school here, could enroll her there online, just kind of shelter her. But then I struggle. Well, does she need sheltering? I reflect upon my childhood. I didn't have that sheltering. I feel like I ended up fine, but this is a little bit different, I guess, because of course both Kit and I, we experimented with drugs. Now that we're adults, we're like, okay, that's not a lifestyle.
Sure.
The concern there, future state is, well, okay, is this going to be habitual? Is this going to be transition from I want to kill myself to escapism? And using that. So it's the concern here is how to get her the tools to just manage the emotion.
Yeah. Is it fair to say you've got kind of this burning question, is this my fault?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. That's kind of what I'm reading between the lines of like, what could I have done?
Hmm.
I wasn't there in those formative years. Yeah, kind of like this under flavor of this my is this my fault? And I just want you to know you are not alone. So many parents, including myself, when their child is making choices that they don't like, they turn to blame themselves. And it makes sense then why you feel so much doom and darkness, because this is a very helpless belief. Like, I've done this, there's no one doing this, we are doomed, which then in turn causes you to scramble in how can I fix this? Private school, homeschool. How can I make sure that this isn't habitual or escapism for her? And we definitely want to look at those things because they could be valid options, but when we are driven to them through doom and darkness, it really takes the effectiveness out of researching and looking at all of the options,
Mm.
if that makes sense.
Yep.
Because we are so fear and dread motivated that it takes 10 times the energy with half the results.
Yep.
And it makes sense why you're feeling this way, especially if you can relate to depression. That's not fun. And I'm sure that in and of itself is also really upsetting to see your sweet daughter experiencing things that you would never wish upon anyone. But let's pause there for just a second. Let's get Kit's pain perspective, and then we'll see what matches and how we can approach from there. Does that sound good? So, do you want to share with us what the most painful thing for you in the brownie debacle is?
The brownie debacle. That is such a great name.
We should call it Brownie
The
Gate.
brownie gate.
Brownie gate, yeah.
It, it's conflicting for me. I feel conflicted. My first fear in trying to create connection with her around this is my concern because she was showing us videos and it was hysterical to see them tripping out. And so we were laughing at it, right? And so my concern is we are embracing everything, including, yes, this is your life. You have choices and there are consequences. And here's what the consequences will be. Laughing at what did occur because there is humor in it. And at the same time, her saying, I don't ever want to do that again. That was really horrible. And I say, that may be. And she looks at me and says, well, what do you mean? You don't believe me? And I said, the mantra that I was taught is love your teenagers, but never trust them. And you broke my trust. And so there won't be more extending of trust and taking your word for it. So that's where I'm conflicted about, is that an okay approach with her? So that's kind of like, that's superficial. So if we,
Yeah. So to love and have boundaries.
right.
That's the perfect approach. Good job. A
Okay,
plus.
great.
A lot of people think that they have to be really angry to show their child that they've
Right.
done wrong.
Yeah.
No, that
Yeah.
just makes them not want to show you the videos, and then you have less
Exactly.
information.
Yes, exactly.
Like,
So we could
yeah,
talk about, the danger of using something when you don't know anything about it.
sure. Yeah.
Right. And she experienced that, right? And I said, this is the perfect way for you to learn about this. And I'm really glad that you learned it this way and not
Yeah.
some other horrid way, like the fentanyl that's basically laced in everything now.
Yeah. So, one word, emotion.
So if I drill down behind that parenting approach, I would basically probably be echoing as well. It's that guilt. Yeah, it's guilt, right? Like, well, I have genes that, and I had this, and I was doing the best I could at the time, but it really wasn't. It wasn't enough, and it wasn't there, and I was an emotional, anxiety ridden, depressed, and exhausted wreck for her. And I couldn't be there in this way for her, the way that I couldn't be the perfect parent for her. Right. And that I've mentioned that again. It's that recurring thing. I couldn't be an emotionally regulated parent for her. So now her critical voice is what she wants to silence. And she talks about wanting to end her life because she doesn't know any other way to stop the chaos in her mind. But that's really at its core what she wants. She wants to stop the mental chaos.
Sure. That's a
And
huge
if I
lure
can
for
just drill, and
substances.
if I can add something to the guilt, there's another guilt element factor, which is I have a job that is way more than a part-time job. It's a full-time job that's been marketed as a part-time job. And everything that I am attempting to do, I'm doing very poorly. And now I see this going on with my daughter. And I need to find another therapist for her. This is going to be the third one. And it's because she has said out loud, I have all this trauma that I keep reliving from my childhood and I can't escape it. And I'm like, yeah, we need to get you into trauma therapy. And so now I can't juggle everything with this job and being the support that she really needs and taking care of our collective domestic day to day plus the other stuff that we have to do to this house. I just last night constructed my giving notice letter to my job, my paid job.
Do you want to give notice? Or do you feel forced into it based off of this belief that you're doing everything poorly?
Mm.
This job has been a struggle since I started it, and the flavor of the struggle has just changed.
Okay, yes or no question. Are you turning in your resignation, at least in part or in whole, because of the belief that everything you're attempting to do, you're doing poorly?
Yes,
So,
and
yes.
I got confirmation on that from the one-on-one meeting that I had with my passive aggressive boss, who said
Okay.
as much.
Okay. I just want to make sure that I have all the pieces of the puzzle
Mm-hmm.
and understand your headspace. Okay. Let me think about this for a second.
Sure.
For both of you, it seems like some kind of flavor of this is my job to fix because I am to blame. Does that sound about right? You're both nodding your heads.
Yep.
Okay. When you believe that, Ty, what feeling, as I said that, and again, if you can't describe the feeling, that maybe the sensation of when you believe that it's your job to fix because you're to blame, one word of descriptor of how that feels in your body.
The initial feeling is a little bit of hopelessness. That's not a feeling.
That is.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Okay. And then Kit, what's your one word emotion?
I'm going to go with physical uh,
Okay.
sensation, and it's jaw clenching, a clenching of my jaw.
Okay. And from this space in your body, what happens next? Kit, what do you do?
Mm. Well, I mean, if I were to go from the present moment right now, it's that I need to sit back down and take another day to find a person in our network who does trauma work and sees teenagers and is taking new patients and can see her.
Sure.
And right.
Okay.
Mhm.
And what's the head drama in your head saying?
The head drama is our nonprofit is moving buildings. I am in charge of my department. I am in charge of a lot. And I'm supposed to still be doing my regular job
So your
in
head spins and all the things to do.
correct.
And I'm just going to take a wild guess that you run around like a wild woman and are less effective because your head is swimming in all the things to do. Is that a fair guess for time's sake?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Ty, from your hopelessness, how do you behave?
I would say probably like try to like find something to get out of that, be it kind of like go for a run or distract, escape, focus on other things like work, or focus on what can be recently, like what can I do to help the household,
Sure.
or yeah.
Okay, so you both employ your own strategic coping mechanism. Okay, would you say that these are effective methods to solve for the belief that it's my job to fix?
I like to think that it is, but it's probably not.
Now, let me ask you this. Prefaced with the fact, and I'm going to stand very firmly on this, the fact that all parents mess up their kids and that this is just the way that life is it your job to fix? Now, of course, it's our job as parents to provide, to teach, to love, but is it even possible for you to fix? You
Well,
should definitely find her therapist.
yeah, well, that's where we're
But
lost.
can
That's
you
where we're
sit in her session and be like, now, Elle, did that click? And now, Elle, are you ever going to smoke weed again? And Elle, let's fix your depression. Is that possible?
stuck. No,
Okay, so who has to fix her issues? And of course, like I
she
said,
does.
as parents, we want to provide everything possible for her.
Right. Hmm. But we have to provide the scaffolding, we have to provide the foundation or bring her to the water. We can't make her drink the water, but we have to find the water and bring her
That
to the
is
water.
good parenting, and some kids don't even get that. Some kids are just fixing things in their 30s when they realize that it's a problem and their parents aren't helpful at all.
Hmm.
And so it's a huge blessing that she has you guys to be able to say, hey, we may have done some things not as good as we had hoped. Let's get her some help to deal with these things. That's a testimony that you guys are great parents. You both laugh. Yeah. You're patting each other on the head. Yes, very nice. You
No,
are you are good parents.
good job. Take the day off. Mhm.
You can. Yes, and take her with you and go to the lake and have a good time and take the day off. I want you just to sit for a second with the possibility of that truth that all parents mess up their kids because we're not perfect. Hi there. I just want to pause and let you know if you are struggling to make sense of your teen's behaviors, emotions are running wild, and you're looking to turn things around to have the family you dreamed of while rocking them to sleep, I would love to talk to you. I want to give you a special, powerful gift. 30 minutes with me, my friend. You'll walk away with more confidence, clarity, and understanding of what the issue is and your next best step in resolving any situation you bring to me. It's completely free. I love families and want to help yours be wildly happy and successful. Book this call by visiting my website, heatherfraser.com. Remember, Fraser is spelled with a Z-I in the middle. And don't worry, the link is also in the show notes. I look forward to meeting and helping you. And you are still great parents because great parents put in the work to repair. They love their kids even when they come home high. All of the things. Genuinely, if possible, I want you to just sit, take a deep breath, and try on. Let it wash over your body. What if I really am a good parent?
Wow. You know what the next thing that happens in my head is, but you need to do better.
Mm.
What is the
And
thing you need to do next?
how about you, Ty?
I would agree to that. There's a level of perfectionism. Probably not as extensive as Kit, though.
Okay. What what if we agreed with that part of our brain? Sure, we can all do better.
Well,
And
and
that
so I don't know that it's an unhealthy. I mean,
it's
yeah, evolution says do better,
yes,
right?
it's unhealthy when we punish ourselves, when we hate ourselves, when we hold our value ransom or our lovability ransom for performance. That's when it's not helpful. But you can hold, just like you were asking, this is 2.0 of loving her and not yelling at her when she comes home high and saying, and here's the consequence. This is the 2.0 version that you apply to yourself, which is I'm a good parent, and of course, there's always room for improvement. And of course, I can do better isn't like, you need to do better. It's, yeah, literally the human experience is to evolve and to grow and to love each other better and to become more whole and healed. And nobody ever arrives. And so I can take my time in the process. It's not a problem when I mess up or if my job causes me to not be home as much as I like, I can figure that out. And so going back to a potential letter of resignation, we just want to really double check that that's intuitively what feels right and good and that it's not a nervous system triggered, upset, retaliatory, or shameful response. What are we thinking?
Oh, yeah. Just acknowledging that it's been a struggle for the entirety of the job for the last almost 9 months.
Sure.
It seems like every month or every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks, I don't know. There's something that happens where I'm like, is this the straw? My constant striving would say, okay, let's look at what you're doing and what can you let go of? What can you do differently? How can you change yourself to deal with this as it is, right? And I've continued to do that for the last 9 months. And the only thing that I would feel that I feel hesitant about is the upset from the minister of the job that I'm leaving. But
You're afraid he'll be
actually,
upset?
yes.
Okay. I just want to remind you of two things in regard to potentially resigning. Number one, you're not in charge of other people's feelings.
Right.
And number two, your choice should be grounded in peace and calm and create goodness long term,
Yes.
because then we don't have regrets.
Right.
Okay, so keep that in mind with your job. But it's interesting how that's also playing into parenting in the sense that it's my job to fix. And
Mm-hmm.
you want to manage his anger and you want to manage your daughter's emotions. And this is very human. We all do it. We lie to people to not upset them, right? We say my day is fine because we don't want to upset them by telling them how awful our day has been in a very small example. Or when your mom calls and is like, "Are you mad at me?" No, I'm not mad at
No,
you.
I think I know what you're thinking. I think I know
What?
what you're thinking
What am I
about.
thinking?
Uh, Thinking that YL lies.
That was one of them.
Mm-hmm.
The other one was I'm not good at
Yeah.
fibbing. I say things like it is and people don't like it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So in one area, we know it's possible for you to allow people to feel what they want.
Mm-hmm.
And so we just have to branch that out in healthy ways in other spaces, right? So you need to do what's best for you,
Mm-hmm.
as far as your job goes and what serves you and your family long term. So I wouldn't take into consideration anyone's anger. I'm sure that you'll figure that out.
Yeah.
How committed are you both now to the belief that it's your job to fix because it's kind of your fault?
After this session,
Yeah.
I see it as opaque versus a bright
Okay. So
neon
it's lessened.
sign.
It's
Huh?
no longer a neon sign.
It's no longer a neon sign. It's an opaque
Okay.
uh
it's a little bit more washed.
yeah, a little more watercolor instead of a neon sign.
Okay. And what about for you, Ty?
I would say probably a little bit more relief. For me, it's I don't know if the right word is validation, but it's more comforting to hear that from a outside observer.
Okay, good. So then, with where you're at right now, I want you to think about having conversations with her, looking for a new therapist, all of the steps that you want to take to help mentor, guide, and love her. I want you to picture doing those things with this energy and tell me how that feels different than maybe before we had this conversation.
Hmm. Was that direct me first or?
Just both of
Either
us.
one of you, I'm letting you take your time to ruminate and really feel, having helping her out in whatever way you feel is necessary in the moment with the energy of it's okay.
Hmm.
Um, it's still anxiety because the stepping away from this job is not for another month plus. Me not being home, and my concern about what's going to happen when she's home alone.
Okay.
I don't see an immediate relief in my mind.
Okay.
Um,
Can I tie that to one of the thoughts that you told me?
yes.
I think I wrote it down properly. You tell me. Love your teen, but never trust them.
Hmm.
Could your anxiety be tied to that lack of trust? Even though it sounds like she point blank told you, I never want to do that again. It was horrible.
Yeah, but I know what memories do. They fade. Sometimes we remember the better stuff, sometimes we remember the worst stuff. That depends
Sure.
on
And
how
friends
much
could
of
come over
each,
and be
right?
like, hey.
Let's do that again, just not eat as much, right?
Sure.
Yeah. And then there's the specter of peer pressure.
Oh, yeah. It's a thing. Okay. So then we can take her words with a grain of salt.
Hmm.
We can keep the anxiety for after school if you want.
Well, it's summer
You're
right
not home.
now.
Oh, that's
It's
true.
like
Okay. Yeah.
that's why it's such a problem because there is no control of what happens when she comes home from her babysitting gig around 1 or 2 o'clock. Like it's a
Okay.
willy kind of don't know really.
Well, then
So
let's put the trust on you. Can you trust that you can handle whatever happens, even if it's not your favorite?
can I trust myself to handle it whatever happens?
Yeah.
Right. So the next thing is, do I need to lock up all the knives? So when she's not home, all the meds are locked up. So that's done.
Okay. If that's a totally different critter. If you think that she actually is suicidal, have you talked to her if she has a plan, any steps she's taken in a plan?
I mean, she really, in the first time she ate those edibles, she thought she could overdose on edibles and die. But she did it at the park where her boyfriend, who was mean to her, was. And she was hoping he was going to have some pity on her and it was going to
Sure.
somehow.
Okay. So that's a really valuable conversation to have with a therapist
Right,
or and with your daughter. Because if
right,
you actually think that she is interested and capable in steps towards harming herself, that's a totally different protocol. Is she gonna have some brownies or is she going to make mischief that is more age appropriate?
right. Yeah. And I don't know that. I thought that she was out of the woods of the deep depression. And then when she was on high, she was back to, I'm so depressed. I'm so depressed. And it's like, is this the pop brownies or is this the truth serum?
Sure. And did you ever ask her that?
I didn't. I was more thinking that she was kind of vacillating between euphoria to
Hmm.
Sure.
that. All I could think of is a strain, it's homegrown. And so there's different strains that kind of elicit
Different effects.
effect.
Yeah.
So how much is that, the pot versus the underlying emotion?
And to complicate things, her therapist, who is very brand spanking new, has been out of town for the last 2 weeks. And a week before that, she was on vacation. So it's been sporadic therapy, which is really not good at this point. Really
Okay.
not good.
Okay,
And
well,
that
you
is
do
something I
whatever
have
you
no.
feel is in everyone's best interest with the therapy, but this is a conversation that needs to be had
Mm,
with or without a therapist is to be able to gauge where she's at in her headspace.
mm-hmm,
Because if you truly do fear, then the therapist can give you steps for the protocol of how to manage that.
right.
And my friend, you can also just give notice and say, today's my last day. If you really feel like you need to be home, that's a possibility too.
Yeah, I guess that is an option to take some sick leave for family leave, family
Yeah,
sick leave.
yeah, you've got options. But when we're filled with anxiety, our brain just isn't as functional
Agreed.
in seeing all of our options and then in implementing them.
Hmm.
My assignment for you guys is a couple times a day, choose to believe that you're a really good parent and let that wash over you and hold on to it for as long as possible. And just like any other exercise, some days you'll do great and some days you'll feel really weak and it will be hard and slippery. Totally fine. But when you believe that you're a good parent and good parents do make mistakes and good parents always have room for improvement and that you guys are right where you should be, that nothing has gone wrong and that it's not your job to fix because you can't, and that you are helping her with her side of the street, right? Making sure she has a good therapist, having important conversations, loving her unconditionally. All of those things are indicators that you guys are amazing. And like every other parent on the planet and every other human, not perfect. And our kids actually, could you imagine having a perfect parent and then being an imperfect person? You'd be like, well, my mom never messed up like that. I guess I am the worst. Our kids actually need us to mess up so they can see how to repair and so that they can see that you don't have to be perfect to be worthy of love. We're supposed to be imperfect. And that, yeah, some of it's your fault and some of it's not your fault. And that's okay. That is not a problem. And that you can't fix. She has to do it when she's ready. And like every other wounded individual, I'm sure that you can relate to the fact that sometimes we're not ready to give up our wounds yet because they're our little comfort blanket, even though it actually isn't that comforting. But it's
Hmm.
hard to give those things up because it's scary.
Hmm.
And so we can have a lot of empathy for daughter who is dealing with adolescence and therapy and all the things and a broken up boyfriend. And it's a process. None of us arrive at the finish line. It just is a process of life.
It's an eternal marathon.
Hmm. It's my favorite analogy.
Yeah,
The marathon.
It's a marathon, not a sprint.
That's it.
yeah, yeah. And sometimes we just got to sit at the aid station for a minute.
Hmm.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Hmm.
Okay, how are we feeling?
Lighter.
Hmm. I would agree.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Well,
Thank
thank you.
you.